Hi all, it's Liz, your Wednesday host for Subsweek on the Pagan Perspective. Cara has given us the opportunity to not only answer the two questions that we were assigned today, but to also give a little bit of info on what we're doing this year for Halloween. And so I figured I would do the question first and the Halloween stuff at the end. The first question comes from Hades1347. He asks, I was wondering if you find that spells work better if you speak to your chosen god and goddess in the language of the culture they came from. The answer to this is actually kind of a yes and no, because on the one hand I think that if you already speak the language that your god and goddess came from culturally, then it's not going to make much of a difference. And I think that if you're just parroting back things that you've read in a book or online, then that doesn't have much weight behind it either. But I think that if you take the time to learn their language and understand not just the words but the sentence structure, and you really get into it, that shows devotion and it shows respect and it shows that you're not going anywhere as a worshiper, that you're serious about this. And so I think that in that way, and in the same way that any type of energy and drive you put into a spell is going to push it on further. The second question comes from Tori41494, who asks, I was wondering, if one has a candle scented of an herb, can that candle replace the herb in a spell or ritual, or is it the actual plant that gives the herb its power? To answer your first question, yes, and to answer your second question, yes. I think that an herb-scented candle can replace the actual herb, but I do think that the herb adds energy to your work. And I do generally believe that the outcome will be fairly the same. I mean, using a candle versus using an herb is kind of like riding a bike versus riding a horse. You'll get to the same place in the end, just in a different way. Having said all that, when I do a ritual where each of the quarters is a different colored candle, it has a different feel, a different vibe than when I do a ritual where there's salt for earth and water for water and things like that. It lends a different personality to the ritual. So I wonder if the small change of using an herb-scented candle versus using the actual herb itself would lend a more fiery tone to your ritual, and if that would, following that line of thought, lead to a more fiery tone to your outcome. You can use that information to further steer your spell and customize your spell into exactly how you would want it to manifest. As for what I'm doing for Halloween, that has kind of a tricky answer, because the more I follow my own path, the less I feel that Halloween is my new year. To me, the new year is when there's new life, which is in spring when things are blooming. And I still feel that the veil between the worlds is very thin right now, obviously, but it just doesn't have that new year ring to it. I still do quite a bit on Halloween, though, especially this one, because I've really been feeling the pull more towards my tarot, and I've been spending a lot of time working with them. And in addition to that, I have a small gratitude ritual that I'm going to be doing this Halloween. One of the really great things is that right down the road from where I work, we have a pumpkin patch. So there has been hot and cold growing pumpkins throughout the entire month of October. We've used them so much for decorating. My son has had way too much fun squishing around in the guts of them. So my thought was that I would take 4 smallish pumpkins and devote them to an element and place them on one of the 4 elemental tables that I have in my altar room. For example, I'll take one small pumpkin and I'll carve maybe the flame shapes in it, and I'll put a red candle in it and put that obviously on the fire altar. And for the water pumpkin, I was thinking of maybe hollowing it out and filling it with water and with some essential oils and maybe some sort of water-based plant if I can find one like a water lily or something. For earth, I've actually already done earth, and I put it together into a vase. Oops, flower fell out. Put it into a vase to go on my altar. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do so far for air. Maybe cut out a shape of an owl or a bat or something and put some incense in there for the smoke to come out of. I'm still in the thinking process. I'll have to probably go through a couple of pumpkins before I get it right. Also, of course, I'm doing a whole lot of fall cleaning. It's just like spring cleaning, only it's even better because the cold is coming instead of leaving, and down here in Texas we really love that cold. And so we like to throw open our windows and doors and push all of the hot, stale energy out and bring in nice, fresh, cool air and energy back in. And after that, I really just plan to enjoy the season. I love fall. It is one of my favorite times of the year. Alright, that's it. I hope you have a good rest of the day, a great rest of the week, and I hope that your Halloween is particularly Halloweeny. You are doing such a good job.
Quick.